which I'm sure will be.
All right, I think we're back up
canceled.
now. Let me.
Are we up?
Yeah.
I was just talking about how I'm going to get canceled.
Okay, let's get that cranked down.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, sorry about that. We had a sticky table, and then the mics.
The software for the mic
yeah.
decided to unsticky itself.
So we're here for the 034 Motorsport live chat. Welcome. I'm Javad Shadzi. This is Nate Stewart.
Yep.
Sorry we didn't do it on Monday. Nate's kids started throwing up, then it happened to him.
Yeah.
So
I didn't throw up, but no, my child decided to walk into our bedroom at
not
like
out of your
4 in the
mouth,
morning
I mean.
and vomit all over us. So it was
Right.
fantastic.
So anyways, we're here to answer all your questions about all things 034 Motorsport. Anything you'd like to know about our history, about our philosophy, about who we are, what we do, our products, which is usually what you ask about. We probably won't respond to many update questions unless we feel like there's some really proactive information we can give. And we take a no BS approach to responding to questions. BS means bullshit. And we don't mind cutting to the heart of the matter and weighing in on controversial topics. And we're even willing to hurt people's feelings if it needs to. If it needs to happen, it needs to happen. We're not here to boost people's egos, unless it's using 034 parts to do amazing things to make themselves feel better. Then we're here to do that. All right, so we got some questions coming in. Feel free to put your question into the browser of your choice, your current usage, and we will put them into our phones using ChatGPT, and we'll go from there. No, I'm kidding about ChatGPT. It's just Sean.
I am ChatGPT.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of a humorous, like, chat something.
Abbreviation.
All right. It says, missed you guys, but it just built the excitement. Well, wonderful. I guess you could consider it as like foreplay leading up to this moment all week. Yeah.
That's not what I would call it.
Any safe, reliable way for me to boost octane 1 point? Live in Pacific Northwest and I can only find 92, but want the extra power of the 93 file.
I mean, the testing we've done on the Northwest Fuel, the 92 stuff, is it behaves a lot better than it behaves very similar to our 91. So not a lot better than our 91, even though it's rated an octane point higher. So,
The 92.
yeah, we recommend running the 91 octane file. So, I mean, as far as boosting an octane point, other than blending in some proper like gasoline of a higher octane, that's about the only way to do it. There's no the additives, the over-the-counter stuff you can find in like the shops. It's a little bottle of octane boost 10.
No, yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think what he's
don't waste your
asking
time
is
with
how
it.
can I run the 93 file?
You would have to run a 93 octane fuel, and
Yeah.
how you get there is either by finding it or doing some custom blend of actual gasoline of higher octane.
The best way to do this would be to blend with, say, some 100 octane, which should be available. The challenge is knowing when you're at 93.
I mean, you can always shoot high and run the 93.
Which I was going to
It's
say,
just gonna cost more.
you're just going to have to blend it so that it's something much higher than 93. Like, let's say you could kind of get a ratio going that would be more like 95 octane. And you could always try dialing your blend back and monitoring the knock activity and seeing what the tune is doing. Again, I don't recommend this. This isn't something we... that's not a product or service, but if you're careful and you kind of know what you're doing, you could dial it in that way, and you're probably gonna find some ratio that works. I don't like Nate said. I don't think it's worth it for like an extra 20 horsepower or something. It's not. It's probably.
I don't know what car. I don't know if you spec'd what car.
What you could do if you'd like is go out and fill your tank with 100 octane and run the 93 file and see how it feels.
Yeah,
and if it feels that much better to you than the 91 file, now keep in mind, 93 file on 100 is going to be like the archetype of 93 tuning.
Yes.
It's never going to be that good on actual 93, but the ECU will be very happy and give the 93 file all the timing it could possibly get. But at least it'll give you a point of reference. And if you do that and you can't really tell a big difference, then then I think that's your answer. If you do feel a good difference, then you'll have to decide how much you want to mess with this. Gentlemen, thanks for all you do. What's up with the update?
They're sneaking in the update.
Damn! Got us with like a thank you. Update for the B9.5 S5.
I'm talking about R3.0.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
What's up with the update for the B9 S5? Is that what we should do? And should I take it off the program back to stock if I'm going for first oil change? I'm not entirely sure of the questions here.
Sounds like he's going back to the dealership.
If you're going to the dealership for an oil change, yeah, you can just flash it back to stock and then afterwards flash the new file. That's probably going to be the least amount of work on your end. If you're just going to update to the R3.0 file, just flash it straight to that. You don't need to go back to stock. Nor do we recommend going back to stock if you're going between octanes. It's going to be a lot faster. Less sectors of the ECU need to get flashed. It's just a much quicker process.
Are you guys tuning the new MR 1900 with camshafts for the B8 S4?
We're trying to cover both. Right now, our development car has the camshafts in it, so we're collecting data on that. And then we're also going to be using Jose's card for the non-camshaft data.
Yeah. So. But yes, we are the one authorized tuner that is working directly with Merc Racing to create a calibration for this supercharger kit.
Yeah.
Merc Racing chose to work with us. We really like the kit. It's a nice piece of hardware.
Yeah.
And our cams are the perfect pairing with it. So, all we can say now at this point is that the results we've seen so far are very encouraging. It should be very exciting for the B8 S4 tuning community. It's not a cheap upgrade, but it's also not. Yeah, it's cheaper than maybe going out and buying a new car.
Right.
So,
when you still have all of the power delivery traits you get with that supercharged motor, it's just instant power. It's just more of it.
And there is something to be said for that supercharged power band, which is really nice. Just bought the 034 downpipe and stage 1 software and flashing kit. Will the flash take care of the check engine light, and is the downpipe good to have with stage 1 tune?
I don't know what. Well,
what
stage 1 tune is not for any downpipe. Downpipes would be a stage 2 file and listed as such, and for obviously racing use and whatnot only. But stage 1 file is not going to take care of any check engine light you've got. And all of the diagnostic functions are still there in all of our stage 1 files. So.
I'm sure the answer will be yes, but would I be okay running your B9 S4 intake through upstate New York winters? Yes, absolutely. We have we don't mention any issues running our intakes like this in any weather, in any season. It's really, from a functionality standpoint, not going to be any different or worse in the winter than your stock intake, other than it just flows more. So that's fine. I don't recommend driving through rivers with either the factory intake or
factory's not going to help you there either.
But other than that, if you want to add a snorkel to your car, then you could probably do that. We do list the snorkel charger on our website just for that reason. Yesterday set the European world record. European record via dragy for S4 B9 with your stage 3 TTE 810 high output file. 1018 at 137. Same 2 runs in a row. Great work, guys. Thanks. That's awesome.
Nice.
That is not only moving, but the consistency is impressive. So, not easy to do with the factory ECU, because it's always trying to figure out the most clever way to do things.
Well, that and just ticking off 10 ones in general is not a.
Yeah. No, that's
cooking.
And at that really, really fast time. That's insane. Nice work. Was that related with the awesome effort?
No.
That's separate. Wow.
This is his own guy, yeah.
Very cool. Nice job, dude. I think Awesome ran 10.8, right?
10.8.
Yeah, so this is substantially faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Can I drive my B8 S5 with upgraded pulleys until I have my stage 2 tune?
Generally, you can. It's not that big of a deal typically. So yeah, I wouldn't stress about it.
Do you think Pauter Rods will take a 100 shot on the B8 S4?
Do you think?
I don't think the rods.
Do you think your pistons will?
I don't think the rods will be the problem.
You got to make sure with a 100 shot, especially, you've got fueling accompanying it, and it's and not that we're going to condone nitrous and all that, because that's a very quick way to
Install windows.
take the insides on the outsides,
Yeah.
and install windows. Yeah, the rods themselves, I wouldn't have any problem with that. It's going to be everything else.
Yeah, I mean, nitrous is kind of like, putting like a big ball rocket in your ass so you can run faster. Like, you could probably get away with it a couple times, but it's eventually going to kill you. So, I don't
Depends how
know.
big the rocket is, right?
It depends on the size.
Well,
of the
yeah,
rocket.
but the faster you go, the more dangerous it is. And same thing with nitrous. You could do a 10 shot of nitrous all day long, no problem.
Right.
100, you can get to 200. Poof, you're gonna have like cylinder heads going through your hood. So you can poke around online about. I mean, not to say that like the things you see online are an accurate representation of anything, but you could see how bad things could get.
Oh, nitrous booms are some of the most fun ones to watch. You just intake manifold in the roof.
And the problem is when you're doing wet shots, you're injecting this highly flammable liquid, or
well, it's everything, yeah, right? Because it's an oxygenator
outside of the combustion chamber. So when somehow that combusts, it's your intake. Your intake pipe.
Yeah,
is
if you get a backfire, if something doesn't light off right, it all spicy real quick.
Yep. But I think the Pauter Rods won't have any issue with any of
I don't think that's what I'd be worried about.
It's not the weakest link.
No.
Is the EA837 block the same as the EA839 block?
No, they're very different.
No, definitely not.
Creatures.
So the same rods and pistons will not work between the two motors. We do currently have rods for both, and we are about to release B9 S4 pistons. So if you really need pistons, we have them in stock right now. We're just getting them added to the website. Yeah, but they are both V6s of the same displacement.
Yeah,
but Audi changed things
architecturally,
by
there's some similarities for sure. But
Yeah.
no, it's the 839 is a new motor.
Mm-hmm. How much power are the upgraded B9 pistons, rods, main studs rated for? There is really no power ratings for this kind of stuff, but I would say if you built a motor with our rods and pistons and all of our studs, I don't see why that motor wouldn't be like just fine for 1200 horsepower crank. Sustained.
I would say probably the head studs would start being the initial thing at that point, but again, it's really going to depend on the build. We need to, and that's something that needs to be more of a conversation. Is like it's more about the torque and the cylinder pressures is where the stress is, not power, not horsepower, because that can be done with more revs and less boost, or you can have a torque that just kind of flat lines and you're making 1200 horsepower, but a reasonable amount of torque. So
and there are someone came out with
Wagner has M11s come in for the.
I know, please. I actually worked on the project, so I know who did it. But there are our studs are M10, and someone came out with M11 studs, which require re-drilling and tapping the block for bigger threads, and then drilling modifying the cylinder head for the bigger studs too. We don't know when one is needed over the other. Nobody knows. I guess if you're willing to do the extra modifications, and we will, I'm sure, offer an 11 mil version as well. You can also do more with the current size by going to something like tool steel. So you go from like a high tensile strength chromoly. ARP has like this Ethanol.
There are certain
alloy that
more
they
exotic
use.
stuff.
And then you get to the point where it's tool steel, which is like very, very hard, very non-malleable, steel alloy. So we can also do upgraded, alloys above what we currently have, which is substantially stronger than the factory ones. So, at this point, nobody's built a 1200 horsepower motor. It's not really a thing. So. Everyone's kind of figuring this stuff out still. Is there a gasket kit that you'll be releasing or recommended for a 1,000 horsepower build?
Everybody's going for the big numbers right now.
I don't see why the factory head gasket won't be any. We'll have any.
We haven't. Yeah, we don't have any reason to believe it'll be a problem yet.
At some point in the future, the factory head gaskets are very good quality. They're multi-layer steel construction, as long as they're clamped properly and the clamping force on the gasket is maintained, they're going to hold up to just about any kind of power. But at some point, you do the head studs, so you continue to have more clamping force than pressure in the cylinder head. And then you can even do things like adding, copper or stainless steel O-rings into either the block or the head, which sit like 1 or 2 thousandths proud of the surface and give a substantially increased, clamping load around the combustion chamber. Where are the B9 pistons? What other internals for the B9 should we expect? Pistons will be released very soon. We got the pistons from JE. They're out getting some coatings right now, and then once they're back, we will release them. So I think in the next week or two, we should have B9 S4 JE pistons on the market, and they will have some distinct advantages aside from being much stronger than factory pistons, which haven't been proven to be strong, but obviously people have had some issues with them. We will be lowering the compression ratio to the RS5 compression ratio level, so it'll just give a lot more headroom and margin of safety in these S4 motors. Can VW Audi detect TCU tunes and therefore avoid your warranty? I mean, a TCU tune without an ECU tune. I mean, that's interesting. I'm sure they can. Right?
Yeah. There's no real difference there.
Mm-hmm.
They can see, flash histories, flash information, that kind of thing, just like they would in the ECU.
I have a Mk8 GTI 6-speed manual turbo with 2,500 miles. I want to go 0 through 4 stage 1 and have complete faith in the tune. But how long do you think I should wait to make sure there are no underlying factory defects? I don't know if there's any widespread factory defects with motors and things like
Not
that.
with the motor.
Not with the
There's,
motor,
like,
no.
the
It's all the
radiator
dash
fix
and there's a radiator clip thing, and there's some other.
Yeah, but that's
not the motor or drivetrain.
Tuning's not really going to affect that, So you can wait as long as you want, but I think your motor is broken in, and again, the motors are reliable. There's really no issues there, so I would encourage you to do it sooner than later, but there's no right answer.
Oh God, I gotta go grab my charger. My laptop's decided to
Okay.
slurp its entire battery down.
Have you picked all the beta testers? Should I wait for you want to weigh in on this? I know. So.
They're all big.
Yeah, I think everybody's set up currently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you picked all the beta testers for the mobile app? Yes, we are currently in round 1 of beta. If you would know if you were included because we would have contacted you, or you would have applied and we would have responded. There is a process to go through, and so we have quite a few beta testers right now, which is great, and we may open up to more beta testers. But we are getting very close to releasing the mobile app, so very, very exciting for everyone, and it's coming up. So the beta phase means we're just testing. We're in the final stages of testing all the usability and functionality of the app.
Yeah, and across more of us just getting a ton of exposure on all the different, particularly Android devices out there.
Mm-hmm. With the B9, will the B9 ever need a built transmission? How much torque can be put through the B9 ZF HP65A? Thoughts on built trans from Drivetrain Solutions?
I mean, we don't have any
Pure Drivetrain Solutions.
reason right now to build one. We currently, with the power we're making,
Yeah.
it's not been an issue that we've come across yet on a single application. So
I don't know anything about Pure Drivetrain Solutions. I'll have to look into that. But I know with who's the other people?
it was Level 10 was doing stuff on the old.
Yeah, with Level 10, and we've talked openly about this, and if Pure Drivetrain is similar, then it would be concerning, is a lot of these companies that build stronger transmissions, they know the hardware side. They're able to build a transmission with stronger gears and a different torque converter and, all the magical shit that goes on inside a transmission, and they can beef all that stuff up. But whether it actually works in the car electronically is a whole nother story. So I would be very cautious to do any kind of transmission upgrade unless it was backed or facilitated by a tuning company like us that can then install it, tune it, and make it work. You know, so a corollary would be like this Merc Racing supercharger. Looks like a perfectly fine supercharger. You could bolt it onto your engine, but without tuning to integrate that new bigger supercharger into the factory management system, it's not going to do shit. In fact, your car will be substantially slower, which is what's happened 10 years ago when APR and other companies came out with big upgraded superchargers but didn't do the tuning right. Those cars were actually slower than factory supercharger cars. So I would say until someone like us comes out with a transmission upgrade, you can sleep easy knowing that you don't need one.
Yeah, we, like I said, all of our testing on all of the various platforms that use that transmission here, we have not found a limit on it yet.
Yes. Someone's asking about a tuning sale. Yes, we have a Boost-tober tuning sale going right now. Some of the best crackerjack marketing branding that we came up with in a long time. What else did we? There was some other really good contender names.
Flashtober.
Flashtober.
Boost Delicious. I can't remember, but we settled with Boost-tober.
Octurbo.
Ox-turbo. Oh,
So you gotta include
that's
me in the
pretty
games.
good. I didn't even
Yeah,
think
someone
of
said like Octo Boost would be a good name or something like that.
Yeah, but that just reminded me of Octomom.
Yeah.
And just, yeah. So anyways, yes, we do have a sale going, 10% off all of our tuning, just our tuning, ECU calibrations, Dynamic Plus currently. So go to our website to get a good deal. It just goes for 2 weeks, and I think we're a day or two into it. So, but the tunes are scary fast. So now's the time to scare yourself with how fast your car can be.
But still be safe.
It's very safe.
It's yeah.
There's a question saying who's the fastest in here.
We're talking like foot race.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like I do pretty
That's
well in a
just an
foot race, but
open-ended
these
question.
days,
Yeah.
but okay. Nate's a very good fast driver. So am I. We're also both very safe drivers. So,
Super safe.
meaning there are other people who go faster but go off track more and possibly crash cars. Sometimes connecting rods go flying out of the block. You just never know.
I mean, it's
So
through the transmission.
through the transmission into the rear diff. I mean, it's just all kinds of
Mayhem.
bad. Yeah.
Causing other accidents.
If you're talking sexually, that's a whole nother topic.
Oh god.
So, yeah.
Tangenting this.
Yes. We picked the beta testers. Top 3 favorite cars you enjoy driving the most there.
Oof. I'm gonna go with RS5 for sure. For me,
RS5 is fun.
I'd say the R8 when we had that.
The R8 is probably the most fun I've had driving a car ever and since. You know, just as far as Audis go, it does things that Audis or BMWs, for that matter, just don't do.
Yep.
It's a, and this was a Mark 1. The Mark 2's also very nice. It's a little different car, but yeah, it's built from the ground up to be a sports car, and it handles like it. It does exactly what you want it to do.
Yep.
I know the R8S TTRS when we had it was really fun.
Yes, that car was a riot.
I mean,
would
that
be
car
right
just
there.
has so much power.
Grip, power. I think it was just flat.
And we had it dialed in where it was a weapon.
Yep.
The hairdresser jokes got a little old, but then I actually really like driving my Q7 nowadays, especially with our products on it, like the wheels, tires, and sway bars and springs. just
Tuned.
transform the car, and it has tuning on it now that we're testing.
Yep.
But I love just being able to throw a bunch of crap in the back, take my kids anywhere I want with a bunch of crap. We just went to Yosemite. I got like a little rooftop bag for it, and it is kind of nice sitting up, and I get the whole SUV thing.
Yeah, there's certainly.
I used to be against it, but nowadays,
serve a purpose for sure.
in the R8, it's like, I would look at some of these bro-dozers,
You
it's
drive
like
under
the
things,
front
yeah.
bumper is like you're gonna hit me right in the side of the head,
Yep.
So I feel much safer in the Q7 as well. So another interesting car. I wanted to ask how many Q3 peeps are out there, but I rented a Q3 a couple weeks ago, and that was really fun. Really nice, fun car to drive, and I could just feel the potential of the power and handling capabilities. But even we have a lift kit for those now. It'd also be fun to just have like an overlanding car with a lift kit, and just around here, and I know where most of you guys live, there's lots of this, but you could just get on a dirt road and drive 20 miles into the middle of nowhere and go camping. So any plans on releasing your Mk8 GTI downpipe soon? Will you also offer an emission compliant one? Looking to install your stage 3R tune soon, but worried about reliability on stock internals. Yes, we do have a Mk8 GTI downpipe coming. We just released our Golf R downpipe, so if you want to know what it'll look like, just go check out the Golf R
They're
one.
very similar.
Actually, we have one here.
Oh, wait.
This is the Golf R.
Yeah, this is golf.
We just released this last week.
It's been on the site since last week.
Yeah. So this is a
Euro 4?
Euro 4 High Flow CAT. This is only the top portion. There's also a mid-pipe portion. Really slick adjustable bracket, all stainless steel with our titanium finish, and then we have this really nice heat shielding on it. And factory O2 sensor provisions. The GTI one will be out soon. I don't believe that we will do any emissions compliant downpipes, because that's what the factory one is.
And the factory
And
one's great at that.
there's not a lot of flow to be gained by a factory compliant downpipe. I would question that there's any. So it feels pretty disingenuous or pointless that companies are selling $2,000 or $3,000 factory compliant downpipes. If you want to go the downpipe route, this is the way to do it. It's a Euro 4 standard, so the standard is lower, but it's still very clean running. It is substantially higher flowing than the factory CAT, but again, still, this is like the emission standard from like 15 years ago. So very clean running, and if you're gonna go the high flow downpipe route, just do that, or stay stock CAT and commit to doing that, and you can still make a lot of power on that. I don't think there's not currently any concerns for reliability on these motors at this power level, but I always talk about margin of safety. So the bigger it is, the safer you are, and if you are worried about that, then that is the most powerful Mk8 turbo kit option on the market currently. So you may want to shy away from that if that's a major concern. But again, we've done a lot of testing with ours. We have no reason to believe that there's any reliability concern.
Nope.
Also curious on your thoughts of the Mk8 Golf R turbo upgrade versus the 2260 upgrade.
We will have more information on that very soon.
Yeah.
So we can speculate all day long, but we'd rather get hard numbers, data, and some testing.
We will release numbers for both. We actually have compared the inducer and exducer diameters of the compressor wheel and turbine wheel, and they're not that different. So, the turbos on paper could flow about the same. So I guess we'll see. We will offer both options.
Yep.
One nice option about going the Golf R route, I'll tease a little something, is that we have a substantially higher flowing turbo from TTE, which is a Gulf R format turbo. And so if you want to get the most powerful turbo on the market currently, it's through the Gulf R, architecture format. So if you did end up going Gulf R, at the end of the day, it's an opportunity to continue to make more power using Gulf R turbo upgrades, which will probably always be bigger than the GTI versions. How safe is it for Mk8 Golfs and B9 S4.5s with locked TCUs to run a stage 3 file on pump gas? Will there be any issues?
There's very different ways all of those platforms work. The Mk8 currently is going to be kept at the factory TCU limit, so you should be riding it all the way across, which on like an S3 is going to get you, how do you say Mk8 Golf? I don't know if he's talking Golf R. Golf R or S3, you're really not going to make any more power beyond the S3 or Golf R turbo because it's capped all the way across. It's basically a flat torque plateau, nearly a red line. I mean, there's a tiny little bit at the end. You're going to pick up some if you got a bigger turbo, but it's not going to be huge. Safety-wise, all of them are totally fine. We've had no issues on anything. The B9 S4s and S5s have proven to be perfectly happy on the stage 3 files as well. They're just obviously not optimized for it due to the shift points and the shift speeds and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, it's safe. There's no safety concern.
Yep.
Do you see the intakes coming with port injection for fuel issues at big power NOS? Will you guys do carbon? Well,
I don't know what's going on with this question. Can you guys maybe clean these up a little when you put them in?
Yeah, try to make
translate so we're not translating while reading.
We're not any better at translating these than you are.
Is that big power numbers maybe?
I don't know. Let's see what Sean comes up with.
To be honest.
Does the stage 1 tune clear out the High Flow CAT check engine light on a B9 SQ5?
No, it never has and never will.
No.
Stage 1 file is compatible with stock hardware.
It's always
and some, supporting mods on that, but no, not any emissions changes.
Yeah, it's always stage 1 is always factory CAT. Stage 2 virtually always means High Flow CAT, except for B8 S4, which is a kind of a screwed up application with supercharger, and stage 2 doesn't mean that. It means a different pulley ratio. Is there going to be a separate tune for upgraded pistons and rods for B9? Yeah, inevitably, the rods and pistons will, to some degree, require different tuning, especially due to different compression ratio.
Yeah.
The rods don't have anything to do with tuning. But more so, the rods and pistons will allow higher combustion pressures, higher torque numbers, higher power numbers. And so we can, for example, on the 810, we could push it to the absolute limit of the turbo flow and fuel system capacity with the rods and pistons.
Yes,
and
there's certainly some mid-range stuff on the table there. There will be some extra opportunities once we've got more built motors in the action.
There is a possibility that the B9 S4 JE pistons won't require different tuning.
I'm sure they'll be fine as is, but we need that
the ECU has a certain
we'll
amount
have more info on that. I mean, the compression ratio change there, it's going to behave a little bit differently, but
there's a good possibility that you could just put rods and pistons in a motor and not change the tuning.
Yep.
So we will report more as we find out. We are very early days. I think it's safe to say we're out in front of everyone on this for the most part. So I know other people have been building motors and messing around. That's tuning has
right. Doing one-off stuff here and there is not it's a hard data point to correlate to anything reasonable when you're not controlling variables. If you're doing some big build and sending it and changing everything every time you're working on it, then that's a tough thing to answer any questions with.
Do you see the intakes coming with port injection for fueling issues at big power numbers?
I think this is B9.
Yeah.
Is this like the Artec?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there's a couple out there. We don't feel like they're implemented in a way that is
They're not. I mean, you have the cylinder head with a intake port, and then you have the plenum, and you have an injector just kind of shooting.
But it's not even that. It's like down across the port.
Like, best case scenario, the injector is aiming at the port. But you can go on YouTube and watch videos of port, like engines running, like with ITBs, and the amount of air that air does not get just sucked into the port. That's not how an engine works. That's not how ports work. It's not really any different than how you breathe. There is air coming in your lungs and out of your lungs, and you cannot breathe in until you let some air out. And there is a tremendous amount of what's called port reversion, or air flowing back in and out of the port.
Yep.
And a lot of it's due to resonances that are created, which is a function of the shape and length and size of the port.
Yeah, and beyond that, you're going to have you're never going to get a complete cylinder evacuation on the exhaust stroke. So there's this, and it's all modeled actually in the ECU.
Yeah.
It's an inert gas pressure that's left afterwards after the combustion event. So you're going to get some of that as soon as the intake valve opens and the pistons, at the top. You're very likely going to have a small burp of pressurized air reverting up the inlet.
So the issue is, just because you're firing an injector at a port doesn't mean the fuel will actually go in it. And so on one injection event, 90% of the fuel may be ingested. On the next one, maybe only 70% is, and that creates a tremendous inconsistency from one combustion event to the next, and you can't.
And that's assuming you can get they're balanced across all the cylinders.
Yeah, you can't, operate an engine that way. You have to have precise amounts of fuel going into each port, that are calculated by the ECU, precisely calculated by the ECU. So we're not too confident that port injection will work on the B9, just simply due to the architecture, unless you drill
in the manifolds that are set up there.
Yeah,
Yep.
if you could put injectors in the head, which I understand is possible.
Yep.
But another option is just upgrading the size of the FSI.
The GI side. Yeah.
And that's the direction we're going. Well, you guys do carbon fiber body parts.
Oh gosh.
We currently do not have any plans to do it. It's something we've talked about. It's a very different type of product.
We've dabbled in it a little bit in the past.
We have actually sold carbon fiber body parts in the past, but currently no plans. Do you have adjustable springs for the B9? No, they're not adjustable. They come pre-adjusted, and that's kind of been the product that we've decided to bring to market when it comes to springs is, pre-tuned, pre-adjusted, ready to go, optimized, right out of the box. So for $350, you get the performance of a dialed-in coilover with a static spring. It doesn't need to be adjusted. So if you want to mess around with heights and stuff like that, our springs currently are not for you. They're for someone who just wants to throw some springs in, get the optimal performance, and drive. And save a bunch of money over a coilover. What extra information can be seen on the high-speed logger software? Hopefully injector information.
Generally our high-speed logger, when we refer to that is our RAM logging patching that we do for these ECUs. So technically everything that the ECU is, all of its operating parameters internally. So we can log literally every variable that the system's running. So that's what that is good for. You're going to get a lot more information than what you're going to get out of typical OBD channels and PIDs.
So someone's asking about what's on the table here. These are all products that we currently sell, but we have decided to bundle them for your convenience. So if you already have a B9 X34 intake, or you already have our SuperDuper turbo inlet, or you already have our fresh air duct, then you don't need to buy this. If you haven't bought any intake parts from us, even if you bought them from someone else, you probably want better stuff than you bought. So this will be available as in a bundle. It'll be live this week on our website, and it includes our intake, the SuperDuper inlet, and the fresh air duct all in one kit. For usually we give a little discount for doing all that. It's about a 5% discount. And this is a very high quality, high flowing setup that would work with anything from the factory turbo up through an 810. We offer adjustable turbo inlet adapter rings for the stock turbo, for Pure 750, for 710, for 810. And I'm sure with those you could pretty much make anything else work, like a TS2 or something. I'm sure.
We have a TS2 one.
Oh, we have a TS2 one too. Jeez. So we went hog wild on this. This should be live when?
Later, early next week probably.
Early next week. Okay. Oh, yeah, and as a nice bonus, we believe, due to some research, that there's this little, it's just a little detail sometimes make a big difference. And there's a harness that goes through here, and we still have the factory clip here. Some of the other companies want you to like put a zip tie around this, which isn't serviceable. Looks janky. So this is a factory quality installation. This is how Audi would have done it if they had more balls. So yeah, very good quality, very reasonable prices. On this stuff, we feel like this stuff fits really nicely in the market, and we also have our upcoming SuperDuper options as well. So lots of exciting products in the B9 intake world coming soon, and SQ5
And RS5.
and RS5. Yes, very exciting. Can I pass smog on stage 1 B8S4?
We have
You
fully carb exempted files. You can
You can.
pass smog with. So yes, there's
Absolutely.
nothing holding you back there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 50 state legal. Absolutely.
B9 S4 with 40,000 miles and an O2 sensor seized on the downpipe. Have rounded the head at this point. Should I just get a new one from a new for a new downpipe install?
Yeah, if you're replacing the downpipe, yeah, just throw new O2 sensors in there.
Something you want to give this takes me back like 20 plus years, but a pipe wrench is probably your friend. If you can get a pipe wrench around the O2 sensor, even the rounded off portion, what's left of it, get a big honking one, like the 2-3 foot long ones. If you can get it in there, you'll pop it right out. Sometimes it takes the threads with it, but these cars are so new. I'm used to doing it on,
Surprised it sees. I don't know if we've
15-year-old
seen-
cars.
I don't know if environment, but
you know what
you can hit it with heat and let it soak and penetrating oil. But I would consider that O2 sensor toast. Just replace it once you get it out.
The problem with O2 sensors is not the O2 sensors. It's the fucking shitty O2 sensor wrench.
Oh, the
socket
wrenches
things.
are terrible.
So it's a socket that's open on one side. All right, so you can slide it over the harness. Well, fucking cut that harness off and put a big, what is it, 22
I
mil?
think they're 27 or something. Or no.
7/8. So
Yeah, 22 mil.
22.
Yeah.
Dude,
Sorry.
it's all right here.
I'm thinking 27's the front crank.
Cut that harness off, get yourself a deep socket 22 mil, and just take it out. But these,
Like a nice 6-point impact, 22.
right, the black ones,
Yeah.
the black oxide coated. But these O2 sensor sockets that still are sold, which should never be, they don't loosen the sensor; they just round over the threads, and they're really good at that. So I'm guessing that's what happened to you. But if you can get in there with a pipe wrench, if you can get a small little pipe wrench, get it in there and then see if you can get a pipe on the end of it. Need some hard pipe hitting motherfuckers.
or take the whole
get in there.
downpipe off and.
Well, definitely.
take it off
I'm
outside
assuming
the
that he
downpipe.
took the downpipe
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
if it's at this point. So
That can almost sometimes make it worse if you can't get leverage on it, but then you're also not cranking on your turbo itself.
I put new 034 mounts in my B9 SQ5 the other day with a transmission mount. Already had an insert. Still a tiny bit of slop. Diff carrier or rear subframe next, or prop shaft carrier.
It's going to depend on your car. I mean,
The thing is, you're gonna have some slop because we don't want to rattle your teeth out. So.
and defining slop is tricky too sometimes. If it's transient on-off stuff, you're going to have a little bit of lash. There's
I think it's a good idea to do the diff carrier. The prop shaft does not have anything to do with this. A prop shaft or a drive shaft carrier simply supports the drive shaft and keeps it kind of level and centered. It's not designed to lock it in or limit the movements of the drive shaft. So if you're limiting the movement of your drivetrain from the drive shaft yoke, you're probably going to damage it or cause some issue.
Yeah,
So
it's not like that shaft is like going to a relaxed state and then coming back in line when you're getting back on power.
it just needs to sit there and spin really nicely in a straight line. So unless your prop shaft carry has failed or your drive shaft is like drooping down or something, or it's like sometimes they tear out and just spin around, you don't need that. So, and a little bit of slop is okay since you have a street car, and again, you don't want to vibrate your butt too hard. So, but if you haven't done the rear diff, there is movement back there. It could be what you're feeling, so at least do that. We have subframe inserts for most of these applications as well. So, for the B8.5 6-speed 7.02 beta, why does the throttle remap fix just bring it much closer to stock and not all the way to stock? Is it a technical reason or a price thing?
Pride thing.
Oh, pride thing.
No, it's not a pride thing.
What would be prideful about
I don't know. I was wondering what that question was.
Like, we don't want to admit, that whatever?
No, I have no idea. No, the throttle mapping, as we've spoken about many times, is not stock for a large number of reasons. The R7.2 change that we made was changing the basically the sensitivity, the rate that the ECU is going to change the amount of torque applied based on your pedal, how much you've changed your pedal. So that's it. The pedal mapping, what you'd say, like if you just move your foot to a certain position on the pedal and what that correlates to for a torque request, hasn't changed on any of our files since you don't even know when. So that's not what the adjustment was. The adjustment was just the speed that it reacts to that. No, it wasn't not pride related at all. It's a factor of these files are making a lot more power than stock. The stock pedal mapping basically you lose about half of your pedal travel of resolution, especially in sport mode. It's even more than that, and it is a pretty terrible driving experience when you're making like stage 2 plus whatever power, and you've got this like tiny little band of pedal resolution trying to actually modulate the throttle and control the car. If you want to just on off all day, you can just stomp your foot down and still do that. But
so we're still curating the driving experience.
Right.
Our goal is never to give you the stock driving experience unless that's the best.
Unless they optimize it for whatever we're trying to do as well.
So, we're still giving you our tuning perspective and the best driving experience possible. How does a rear tunnel chassis brace, rear strut brace differ from a stiffening rear sway bar in terms of how they affect handling? That's a great question. The rear sway bar is a functional. The rear sway bar is a functional part of the suspension. A chassis brace is literally just along for the ride. So the chassis brace is not part of the suspension. It's part of the frame or chassis. And so any effect that could be had by stiffening the frame or chassis, a strut brace or a chassis brace like that would affect, which is mostly just helping keep the frame more rigid. So you want changes in suspension alignment and movement to come from the movement of the suspension itself, not the flexing of your car or suspension components. The entire point of our rear tuning chassis brace, what we call our X-Clear braces, is mainly to give more clearance for exhaust systems. This comes into play with aftermarket exhausts that hit the factory brace. Our brace is also substantially stiffer than the factory brace. We could show you, some computer simulations that show how much stiffer ours is than the factory piece. It doesn't necessarily mean that the frame needed more stiffening there, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you would feel it in the driving experience. We're not here to say that, although it could. But mainly, it's a higher clearance piece that is stiffer than the factory. So they're not that expensive. Like a fun little mod you can do, quick little evening project or something. Now, the rear sway bar will actually affect the way your car drives and handles, and the effect on the driving experience is substantial. We can talk more about sway bars if somebody wants, but we're starting to run out of time.
Oh, geez, yeah.
So someone's asking about if we're doing a SuperDuper inlet for the 2.9 RS5. And we are. I thought we would grab our version. This is a current prototype that we've been testing. We're still going to be a few months out on this, but we are doing what will be. This is a 3D print, obviously. We will be doing a silicone version that will have all the high flow properties that you could want at a lower, cheaper price point than, say, like a carbon fiber inlet or a cast aluminum piece that's this big. So this is our intake elbow. So this will be the actual SuperDuper inlet. It will have billet aluminum flanges here with upgradable turbo inlet rings. So this is coming in the future. Here's another print showing the aluminum flanges that are separate. But this is all computer simulated and flow bench tested and validated, and substantially higher flowing than the factory piece. So more info on that coming soon. Let's see. Well, regarding carbon fiber turbo inlets, is it too expensive, too much potential to break for 034's liking, or any other reasons? Yeah,
We're talking like Mark 7, Mark 8,
like a B9, like the B9 turbo inlet. It's carbon fiber is just not a good material for that. It's a very hot area. It is a critical, flow area where it's literally bolted to the turbo. So if anything, any part of it fails, and it's just going to be a lot more expensive with no real benefit. So cast aluminum is a great material, or aluminum is a great material for turbo inlets. The factory ones are plastic. We give a better quality version doing cast aluminum, or some of our turbo inlets are a combination of machined aluminum and aluminum tubing that we weld. So, but yeah, carbon fiber is just not the right material. It's a very, very hot spot. Is it possible to run a stage 393 or E85 on a B9 RS5 with stock cats?
I mean, it's possible. I don't know how much, if any, data we have on that setup currently, though.
We don't currently have a tune or a recommendation to do that. Right?
Yeah. No, we do not.
So could you try?
No,
it?
I was just trying to think if we have data that I can think of right offhand.
It's untested now. And any ethanol tuning coming from Mk7 GTI?
We go back and forth on this. I mean, the cars. Yes, we have a lot of development done on that.
We have tunes.
Our cars running heat corn has been for a long time. So rolling that out to the thousands of files we need to build is a whole nother process, but it is something we are working on.
Followed your tutorial on the B9 ethanol sensor and bought only the items you suggested. I tested my E85 physically, I'm assuming with a gauge or something.
Probably the vial.
The vial, yeah. And it read E85, but the fuel it read E71. Any troubleshooting I could do? Tank was a few miles below zero when filling up.
So did you, the question there is, I guess your sample came from the pump, I'm assuming, so very likely, even though you're reading zero on the gauge, you've still got a couple gallons of fuel in the tank. So that's probably part of it. There are some variations in what the sensors physically read themselves. So I'd give it another fill up or two and see if it levels out any higher.
I can't remember that. I might be able to count on one or two fingers the number of times I've seen E85 actually read from a pump read E85.
Very rare. I don't.
I mean, I actually
most stations are around
remember.
around here are E80. A lot of stations I've heard of Midwest are E70.
Yeah, so E71 sounds relatively accurate.
Yeah,
but
give it a couple more fill-ups though. You obviously had some reserve fuel in the tank because you drove the car there. So
you also really don't have anything to worry about.
No, E70 is fine.
E71 is actually probably better than E85.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
As far as sleeping at night,
you are good.
Can you turn off the crackle by switching to comfort or something, and how safe is it to run with factory cat pipes?
I don't know what car this is, but yeah, generally all of our stuff is switched just like the factory is, so it's going to be quiet when it's in comfort mode, and it's going to have crackles when you're in sport mode. It's that way on our B8, our B9s, our Mark 8s, Mark 7s, basically everything you think of that's got any kind of crackles. We try and turn it off in any comfort modes.
Someone's saying they did the new revision 3.01 and they feel like their miles per gallon have dropped substantially.
I
don't believe there's any
haven't
reason
had
for that.
anybody report that aside from this guy. And no, there should not be any reason. All of that is targeting lambda.
We didn't make any changes.
We
to
can grab. I mean,
119.
feel free to hit tuning out, and we'll ask you to get some logs of your cruising around. But all of it should be targeting 1.0 lambda, just like stock.
Knowing almost nothing,
Yeah.
that you could easily affect your miles per gallon just with some slight driving changes.
Yeah.
Going from 30 to 26. It's.
Yep.
Did you get the test cars for your newest sample testing needs? They're probably referring to mobile, but
No, this is we put out a call for.
oh, we did.
Yeah.
Various.
Okay.
hardware
we
tests.
do need a static spring SQ5, a B9 SQ5.
It's got steel springs.
Without airbags, so just regular traditional springs.
Yep.
I think that's what Nick called them recently.
Traditional springs.
Traditional
They're
springs.
springs.
I was
Well,
like,
traditional,
steel-
could that
they're
be a
steel
leaf
springs,
Or,
yeah, like traditional springs. Those sound like leaf springs.
Something that pushes against another.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking, will your upcoming B9 A14 also support an A5? Yes. They're essentially the same underpinnings. The ECUs are identical. So yeah, anything we do on the B9 A4 will translate to the B9 A5.
Why is there no file for the B8S4 test pipe tune that doesn't remove the cold start? I understand it's not needed because there's no cats, but I'd still like to hear the cold start.
Because it's not needed and you don't have a catalyst that you're.
Yeah.
And right now, just as a housekeeping, like we deal with many thousands of files for these B8s and a halves. It's literally in the thousands of files supported. So when you start adding like every little version, so you want a cold start option on your test pipe file. That means we have to do it for stage 1, stage 2, stage 2 plus, stock throttle body, Hemi throttle body, the iiiny throttle body, all of these files. So now, and that's per box code.
Per octane.
We can move on.
What's that?
per octane as well.
Per octane, yes. That's what I'm saying. 93,
Yeah, but
100,
I think-
104, E40. Like,
I think we might be at a point now where it seems like people just like the cold start. So maybe we just go back to it
No.
or something.
there's a whole. Yeah.
Because there's plenty of stuff that we do that's just purely.
Yeah, but there's also the people that
Most-
don't like a
yeah,
loud start,
it's
so.
Yeah, I don't know. If you like having no cold start, please start contacting us because all we hear about is the people who don't like it. So, will you ever do a stage 1-2 tune for the V8 4.0 RS6 SQ7 RSQ8?
That's a letter salad.
To the
We
Cayenne.
probably will. Yes. It's not something we're currently working on, but it is in our
It's on our
future
radar for sure.
path. My wife's 2018 Audi Q3 would love that type of A3 power. Well, good to know. There's one vote. I didn't hear from a lot of other Q3 owners.
That's the old one.
What?
That's the old Q3.
2018.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
That's
I don't care.
No, we're talking about we're just
The-
Q3s in general.
The
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called, but there's the current new generation and there's the last year, and they're both really nice.
Yeah,
Like
some weird.
a 2015 you can get for like 16
yeah,
grand.
those are all Gen 1.
Yeah,
to my knowledge,
it's a nice car.
Yeah.
Really nice car for the money. And you could freaking go balls out on that thing. What?
They showed the interior till 2018. It's old.
Yeah, but for under 20 grand, you could deal with like not the nicest possible interior.
R6 GTI.
Yeah. No, that's good. All right. Well, I think we're actually out of questions for once we got through everything. All right,
We're also out of time.
and we're out of time. Thank you for joining us. I think we'll be here on Monday. That's the plan.
Barring any unforeseen
Any
vomiting and
viruses.
viruses and terrible
Yeah.
parenting things. So.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Thanks.